With subtle and not so sweeping strokes, today's artist has incorporated makeup stylings to bring Japanese culture to life on the big screen. We are in season 3 of Oscar Rewind, and today I am looking at Polygram Filmed Entertainment and Film 4's erotic art house film, The Pillow Book. Written and directed by Peter Greenaway, the film premiered at Cannes just over 30 years ago in 1996, and then had theatrical releasings across the globe through 1997. What's up, everybody? Cinephile Mike here, and it is a new episode of Oscar Rewind, where I look back at the films of this past year's Oscar nominees and winners. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these throwbacks. We have some really good ones coming up. Today we are continuing with Chapter 4, Designed for the Big Screen. Now, this chapter is focusing on the production, costume, makeup, and hair design nominees that thrilled the eyes of our Oscar viewers, and today we look at the makeup work of Kyôko Toyokawa, who brought kabuki to life in this past season's Kokuho. Now, on The Pillow Book, he was one of the team of makeup artists who really had that art on display. Now, if you've never seen The Pillow Book, here's your quick spoiler-free setup. Nagiko, played by Vivian Wu, is a young Japanese woman living in Hong Kong whose lifelong fascination with calligraphy and literature stems from a childhood tradition. Every year on her birthday, her father would write blessings on her face and her body while stories from Sei Shōnagon's 1,000-year-old pillow book were read aloud. As she grows older, this ritual really shapes her views on art and love and intimacy. Now, after a disastrous marriage leaves her really feeling lost, Nagiko reinvents herself in Hong Kong as a successful model. Yet, despite numerous relationships, she remains dissatisfied, searching for someone who can share both her passion for physical connection and her appreciation for writing and language. And that search leads her to Jerome, played by Ewan McGregor, a multilingual translator whose interests mirror her own. Their relationship quickly deepens as they begin to use each other's bodies as canvases for the poetry and the calligraphy. And this romance, however, becomes increasingly complicated when Nagiko discovers that Jerome is connected to an individual who has some not-so-pleasant attachments to her past. And as old wounds resurface, Nagiko really embarks on this deeply personal quest involving writing a series of books. And I use books like this for a reason when you see how they're done, which force her to confront these questions of love and revenge and memory and the power of art. I have to say, this is a really interesting film to watch. Visually, it's beautiful, so I'm going to start there. The painted calligraphy, it's stunning. It really makes you wish. I mean, I wished. I can't. Many of you may be able to. I can't read the calligraphy. I can't translate it. I wished I could. And this is where Toyokawa's work came into play, working with the whole team, and they were all working with master calligrapher Brody Neuenschwander, and they employed various techniques to paint the bodies of all of those who served as the paper, there's my quotes again, to help Nagiko recount her various tales. Additionally, during select scenes where this was being done, you can't help but appreciate and yet feel almost a little uncomfortable by the voyeuristic cinematographic lens of Sasha Virney when we're watching certain sequences. There are several between McGregor and Wu that feel so intimate you wonder if you should be seeing them at all. And this is the excitement, right? Especially when you see some of the scenes where people are painting on one another and in public. The costumes, contemporary but culturally relevant, beautifully executed by the team of Martin Margiela, Diane Van Stralen, and Koji Tatsuno. And additionally, the homes and the settings are really wonderful to behold. It has to be said, Peter Greenaway, writer-director, the fearless leader of this film, British filmmaker and visual artist in his own right, truly brings this culture to life. That said, while the visuals all work, the film itself is a bit too slow-paced at a runtime of just over 2 hours, and that could be substantiated, if the script were a little bit stronger. There's a few certain plot points introduced that don't get fully resolved, and some threads are clipped so short that you wonder what happened somewhere in the timeline as we follow Nagiko and her life. But I will say that Wu and McGregor, they do have wonderful performance here with the material they're given. You almost wish there was a little more time spent with her relationship with McGregor and those connections, because those were some of the more interesting threads when we got to that part of life, but we don't. They get a little bit chopped up. But they're able to give us a somewhat satisfying ending, and it's an interesting look at the life and times of its subjects. Now, let's talk about the box office and the awards for the film. After the film's run, while there were international releases, those numbers were not available to me on my usual Box Office Mojo source. I couldn't quite find them. They only posted the domestic numbers. So all I can report is that even though the film had screenings all across the world, its worldwide take is $2,372,744 dollars, which was clocked domestically. Critically, the film is at a 68% on the tomato meter from 56 reviews, an 80% popcorn meter from over 10,000 audience reviews. Award season-wise, with less than 10 nods and wins, Peter Greenaway was an Un Certain Regard Award nominee at Cannes, where the film premiered, as well as winning Best Director at the Seattle International Film Festival. In addition to some of the other film festival recognition, it's worth noting 1996 was a great year for McGregor, so he was named the Best British Actor of the Year that year for his work in Brastoff, Emma, and we all know how much I love Trainspotting. This one is a little hard to rate, and while these visuals are stunning and a 5, the film itself, for me, it's just kind of a middle-of-the-road 3. 3 stars. Not great, not bad, middle. If you would like to catch this one, it is currently available streaming on Plex with commercials and ads, or you can find it on most digital platforms for rental or purchase. For my UK followers, I did discover that this is streaming on the BFI Player Classics. So if you have that streaming service, Pillowbook is there. And that's it for episode 32 of season 3 of Oscar Rewind. If you enjoyed this episode and want to check out the others, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, scroll through the playlists, and just enjoy all the cinematic goodness here. And let me know in the comments, what's your favorite Ewan McGregor film? Is it this one? Is it Trainspotting? Please follow me on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd, and check out my website, cinephilemike.com, for more exclusive cinematic content. I will see you all for the next rewind, but until then, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.